then let's see. And Mr. Altitude on Kiri, that's gonna be fun. I'll try to ignore the Kiriko, but I'll more or less just see how this goes.
Ignore the
Yeah,
Tracer too.
ignore the Tracer. I don't think I can. The Tracer's in the call.
Nah, I was having a bad day. Doesn't count. I was forced to play.
Forced to play. Thankfully, you get out there, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's the best I could say. If you staggered yourself, we really when it comes to like lost fights like that, we really don't want to. We either want to die or we want to be able to get out. And some people think, a lot of people actually think that they could just get out when they don't, and then they end up staggering, and that costs time. So that's good that you were able to get out. Just understanding that difference is important for anyone to be able to tell. Okay.
Yeah, I went above the doorway when he walked in, and then
You juked him. Nice.
mm,
Okay. Okay. Now here I have a calm question. Grizz, were we calling this?
What's up?
Were we calling the Tracer Lucio flank?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is where Quark, you come in. You have to make a decision. Do we just decide to fuck it and go frontline, or do we take care of these two in the back? Because realistically, they are quite split from the rest of the Queen. While JQ does have shout, and Genji does have dash, that will be two util out in order to pressure in, or in order to go support their team here. And I think the lack of decision making here, whether or not I guess the split focus that we ended up having with the supports and Grizz on this line and then U2 on this line is kind of what cost us a lot of damage here. Just like a split decision. As you can kind of see, we're forced out Suzu, and now we see Grizz is on Tracer, which is fine-ish. Quark's on Lucio, and Rez is on Queen. We need to all be on at least one of these targets. Obviously, of course, I'd like to say what the target that Quark's looking at is the one that we should be looking at. Specifically talking to you here, Rez, because a lot of times Tracers, it's nice for the Tracer to mark the other Tracer, and that's normally good. So Grizz, I'm not, you're doing fine right now. Rez, you just got to make sure that you're looking with Quark, trying to be whatever target he's calling, because I know damn well Quark is calling this Lucio. So that means the rest of you got to be also looking at that Lucio. And I think
Gotcha.
easy pick on that Lucio. Yeah, it should have been a nice easy pick on that Lucio, and then we would have been able to re-engage on whatever the fight difference would have been because they didn't have that Lucio.
I think I lost the Lucio in this fight.
Ah. Yeah, but I don't. Even with it just took too long for it to die, and I think with that extra support of damage that you would have had, I think you wouldn't have even had the situation of losing him. He would have died just in the first place. Should have died in the first place. Otherwise, this fight really just came down to lack of target, lack of team targeting. Fruity waffle.
Tony said he recognized this team. Do you
No idea who these guys are.
know who they're? Oh,
I haven't scrimmed this low in a while, because our B team hasn't scrimmed in a while, in a very long time. And if to be completely honest, our B team has maybe scrimmed 5 times all of the spring semester. So, yeah, and yeah, Tony just scrims a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tony recognizes a lot of people. Strong. That's better, much better. You guys were much better on that target coordination there. While it wasn't perfect, it still was improved. Great. Another great. You guys won the ult fight. And this is fine to give a point. I like that you guys actually made the decision to finish the fight before giving up point. I mean, you guys gave up point in order to win the fight, is basically what I mean. But yeah, because you guys can instantly recapture right now. This Tracer should not really be a major problem, and now you guys will just retake. Yeah. Another great fight from you guys. One thing that I can say, just kind of general, Grizz, you don't necessarily need to be with Quarked. You could position yourself, like down on this, maybe even like over here. What am I doing? Like maybe on this wall, or even just watching this flank area, seeing, giving information as to when they're able to come in, as well as watching this flank.
Okay.
It's very important to watch something like this, so that then, like what this Tracer's about to do, we don't have someone come from behind and do some surprise damage that we don't like. Under here isn't as viable because purely just because most teams are already going to be positioned where you guys were, or on the upper area, not really on the lower area. So if someone does use that underflank, they could only really touch point, and you'll know whether or not they're underneath. So yeah, but this is a more viable flank for most people. So
Okay.
having someone here, even if it is res, it's fine. But normally it'll be the faster one because Grizz is able to retreat to the fight if necessary. As Tracer, faster than a Mei.
狐のかき爪を解き放て洞主不许走
Vamos esculachar!
Yeah, here might be a situation where you could look with Ugriz that you could be supporting your tank, because it's a little bit less. The Tracer's already in the fight. Instead of marking the Tracer to keep her out of the fight, she's already going to be in the fight. And since you're kind of taking it in this kind of battle arena-esque area, you could more or less just be supporting Quarked with finishing off some of his kills, as well as supporting Res, so that we could pick the JQ, pick the Lucio, Kiri or whatever. Great pick though. Is a lost fight. Yeah, a little bit more unfortunate as to how that went down. We do need to be a little bit more cautious as to how our health pool is going and whether or not we need support. Because were we making a support call here, like Rez and Ryan? I mean Grizz and Ryan? Were we like calling the Tracer on us, or we're being dove? Something like that.
I only really noticed the Tracer, but yeah, I didn't notice how both the Genji and Tracer were coming in on us.
Yeah, and just that, just becoming a little bit more aware of what's going on in that, because as we saw, Rez was taking the Genji fight over here, but he had to icicle or else he would have died. Which is fair. He couldn't have done much else, but I think a call that Rez maybe could have made is Tracer coming towards you, or Genji coming towards you, something like that, so that you guys have a little bit more awareness as to what's going on with that, so that then the two of you can then decide, okay, look at this Tracer or look at this Genji, and that might have seen a little bit more success because you guys kind of just really trapped yourselves in this room, making yourselves easy targets. And then also with those comms, it might have given Quarked and Altitude a little bit of a different situation or mindset when it came to supporting. Yeah, you guys are just down. One thing I can say, Quarked, you might just want to try to die as fast as possible there, because your team's going to be respawning. You don't want to waste too much time.
Yeah, I didn't think they would get touched if I just died quickly.
Yeah. That's fine. It was a tough fight.
I think I took too long to get back to touch point, but
You know, it's fine. Things happen. Because more or less, it doesn't really matter whether or not we can play for touch, because that's not really important. It's how do the fights go when we are able to, how do the fights go when it's just like we're playing to fight for point instead of fighting for touch, something like that. And that's the more important thing. So when it comes down to, it'll come down to more micro stuff later on when you guys get to higher levels, as to whether or not, like, okay, Quark, you need to die like at this exact second so that Grizz can touch point at this exact second, or we'll have time to touch point, or something like that.
Unlocks in 10 seconds. Flashpoint unlocked.
Get another good fight. I think we're just looking at the tank a little bit too much. Because yeah, JQ's easy, one of the easier tanks to kill, and they do have a lot of movement, so it's a fairly hard comp to really make a decision as to who should be the target. But that's where baiting out things like recall, Suzu, TP, dash even, all come in handy. I know, and even in some cases, if you guys get aware enough to see when Lucio uses his amp. But yeah, mainly for those three, just like they become targets if they don't have those abilities. So if we see Genji dash, call that. If we see Suzu TP, I know you guys probably definitely call that. Make sure that we burn it into our minds to make sure that we call it. Even if we don't think that we need to, make sure that you call it, because it gives Quark another target that he can look at, and that you guys can all go on to. If Altitude was here, I'd be asking why are we don't need to necessarily rush just because they rushed. But
Time for the reckoning.
okay. Let's re-see this. Oh. Okay, it's just coming down to, again, we're playing a little bit split, which is costing us that extra damage that we need being in that Brawl comp. Like, Brawl does favor playing together much more than any other comp would. So we need to play together in that sense. We need to be moving with our Ramattra. The only one that I could say that really doesn't need to be moving with Ramattra is the Tracer, purely because they should be looking to take that off angle and create that off angle pressure when Ramatra's ready to go into the fight. So let's main thing that that you guys should be looking to improve at as of right now is just play together, stick together, and then look at the same target. And then you guys should see a bit more success as well as much quicker fights. See, it's very hectic when we're trying to regroup mid-fight versus if we're already as one group, and then we have that set target play style in mind.
Vamos esculachar!
Yeah, and I like this. I like Grizz that you're on the flank. Now you just need to be ready for Quark to say, okay, I'm going in. Or one option that you also have if you can't be directly engaging with Quark, or join the frontline fight. See if the Kiriko, see if there's a support line. Maybe it's not necessarily a Kiriko, maybe it's a Bat, maybe it's an Ana. See if there's someone that you can pressure to look at you, because making them look at you also brings value to the fight. While you may not get the kill, if they're looking at you, they can't heal their team, of course. So that just completely denies that just gives the enemy team a complete lack of flex support healing, which is major when it comes to fights. So disrupting the flex support is another option that you have, Grizz, when it comes to playing Tracer.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Vamos esculachar!
I'm so lost. It looked good, but what the fuck happens? Is it literally just the beat that fucks you guys?
So yeah, like saves a JQ, but then
Oh,
we're looking at
Suzu then B. Okay, yeah, now I get it. Yeah, and that's another reason as to why we don't look at the tank. Or why the tank is hard to look at, especially in like these neutral fights. Because they have that extra boost of health, or just that extra bonus health that makes them, or that gives them the ability for some motherfucker named Fruity Waffle to come up and Suzu them, and then to get a beat out. It just allows for that. While it's not, I like the focus. I think if we put that focus onto like either the Genji or the Kiri here, because even just saying even a call from Grizz saying Kiri killable or Kiri in, something like that would give you guys an opportunity to maybe get another pick that isn't necessarily the JQ. So what I'm trying to say is just stop looking at the tank. Or look for more viable options other than the tank. Because they have that bonus health, they're able to turn around fights like this if that target focus is on the tank. That's not to say never look at the tank, it just understand when you can. Because like if we had already baited out Suzu, then great, we can look at the tank. Or if they didn't have beat and they had no Suzu, we could have looked at the tank, and that would have worked because they didn't have either of those things. Oh, this is slow. There we go. A little better. Well, it was a split fight. It did get the value that it needed to because you guys had that great frontal pressure for that JQ, and you guys also forced them to split up because they're also playing technically a brawl comp. They're playing a brawly dive comp, so they kind of need to play a little bit more together, while also while they can play split, they need to play together in some cases. So yeah, playing. Just recognizing that when you can be split is important, but you guys should still be mainly looking to play more together. And building that habit to play together so that when it does come to playing split, you guys will feel much more comfortable. Oh, bomb flats. Or not bomb flats, junkyard.
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
友人の剣をくれ
Flashpoint unlocked.
Good idea. I like that you guys decided to kite that instead of fight it. Rest fighting for his life right now.
Ah,
Okay. I think it is what I think it is. I just want to rewatch to make sure.
Flashpoint unlocked.
Yeah, it is. Again, it's coming down to we're splitting ourselves up as well as we're not looking at the same target. Like it's really the consistency for you guys, because like yes, you do have the fights like the previous couple where you are looking at the same target and you guys are playing together, but then it comes to these fights where maybe it gets a little bit prolonged, so our focus drops a little bit when it comes to the fight. But the prolonging of the fight is only because we're not calling that target and we're not all looking at the same target. So make sure we really want to make sure even more so now that we work on that consistency of being on the same target, playing together. As well as moving together, because here what I mean is when we backed up and kited back to point, Reg, you decided to play up here when Quark decided to back into this room, which isn't bad, but we need to make sure that we're communicating. Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit split from you, Quark, or we could, or otherwise we need to play together. We need to make sure that we're communicating when we're not with each other as well as when we are with each other.
Got it.
Best I could say there is just be wary, again, be wary of the flanks. And this probably could have gone a little differently if Grizz maybe again just control the flanks. Or it doesn't mean that you have to take the fight all the time. It just means you give the information if like there is a Lucio Tracer coming on that flank. That information is valuable for us to understand. Okay, maybe we just turn around and go on the flank. because the flank just leads right back to the point. Anyways, that's the same on every map. So yeah, control the flanks. And more or less for the team, just be wary of the flanks. Make sure that we're communicating that we see things on the flanks, and then we need to make that decision. Do we take the front line like off first point? Do we take the front line, or do we care about what's going on the flank? And that needs to be a team decision that we make, not just Quark does it alone or Rez does it alone.
Yeah, I think that is kind of like a proactive thing we could have done against the Lucio Tracer. Like since the beginning, they started doing that, but I don't think we were aware of that's where we should look in order to do it.
Yeah. 1 second. What? Penne. Spaghetti. God damn it. Good touch. Unlucky. But, oh, even more unlucky.
Yeah, I think I was cursing myself about that boop too.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do about it. It's an ability in the game. But again, like, we don't really, like, playing for touch isn't really what we're here for right now. Because best case, we don't even have to play for touch. Or we don't have to play for touch against these kind of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? Green?
Flashpoint unlocked.
I do have one question. How's our ult tracking? This is more a question for Ryan. Do we ult track?
I don't think we have as much since we haven't been playing with Nifty.
Oh, Nifty did it for you guys?
Yeah, she was definitely
Okay.
the major, but
Normally
I would
it
say
falls
a
to
lot.
main support, normally, and that would be you. So
Got it.
since you guys don't have that other support at the moment, I think maybe if, even in comp, if you want to just start working on thinking about enemy ults and just kind of work, even just if you're queuing with one of these two or three, just thinking or communicating, okay, start working on that ult tracking. I think that would make a difference. Because that's very important when it comes to playing against higher level teams. And if you guys do want to grow as a team, and I know you guys do, you are going to need that ult tracking. Because one issue that I'm having with one of my 4.5 teams is that, okay, they don't ult track consistently, and that's costing us fights a lot of the times because we don't know what ults they have online. So yes, we have a plan, but we don't have a plan against their plan. If you kind of understand what that means. Which you do need when it comes to those higher level areas where, like, yes, the ults really do matter when it comes to, like, okay, both teams use 2 ults. It may feel like a 50-50 here, but those 2 ults, both teams using 2 ults, depending on what ults they are, do make the difference. And when they were popped and all that does matter when it gets to higher level play, especially against like teams like Marist and Quinny. I think is going to be pretty good this upcoming semester in season. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to an extent, only like JQ and Blade was I paying attention to with my beat.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's all you need to pay attention to, really. That's all you really need to beat for. But then it also comes down to, did Tracer use Pulse? Because that matters in some cases as to whether Kiri needs to save Suzu, or whether or not Rez needs to save Ice like he did, like what just happened, or whether or not even you need to save Recall. And then also paying attention to Rush and their beat is also very important. Just paying attention to all 5. I'm not saying you have to be perfect at it like within a week, but no, it comes with time and just starting to think about it in some ways. It'll just start to come to you over time, understanding it just as you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Vamos esculachar!
狐の鍵爪を解き放て
Vamos esculachar! 友人の剣をくれ!
Yeah, again, it's just that connection that's lacking here that's costing us these fights. Because we're allowing them to run around us, which is splitting our focus a lot. Because I'm sure it seems like Quark is changing his targets every so often, and then both you DPS are also changing your targets often, and that's just not what we need. We need to play together and look at the same thing. While it may seem a little difficult at first, it's fairly simple if we just think of just literally stand next to Quark and follow where Quark goes, or and then Ryan just speeds him around, and then the two of you just shoot at what Quark's calling, and trust me, you will see things die.
I remember what I was thinking in this fight when I died. I was like, I did not see the fact that the Curie was like half.
Yeah. And then also that comes into comms, because what we see, like when we do have people, while Quark is the only one that should be target calling, it's not a target call to say Curie half, because that's an information call more than anything. Because it's the way you say it that turns it into a target call versus a information call. If you're repeatedly screaming Curie half, that becomes a target call. But if you just say Curie half like one time or two times, just to make sure that your team's heard it, then that gives Quark the information that he needs. That okay, now maybe I find this Kiriko, we finish this Kiriko, and now we switch targets to the next most killable thing. And that's like what I said a couple rounds ago when we were watching, or when I mentioned the calling about util, because it's just as important calling enemy health as calling util, because that opens up target opportunities that we need to see. And that also that comes with being able to move as a team and be on the same target. Seeing those target opportunities allows us to be on the same person more often. Yeah, fairly similar thing there. Even though we won the fight, that the focus was still not directly individual. And I think you guys probably only really won that fight because they thought they had already won the fight. Or the point, I mean. Yeah, Grizz, just making sure. You were calling this, right? You're calling that they're on the flank?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And then that's where Quark, you need to make the decision. Which it looks like you kind of did. And in this case, yes, it comes down to Grizz. You just might need to disrupt these two until or while the other four go ahead and take on that 4v3, which is good. Which looks like that's kind of what's happening. Yeah, fairly similar. Especially even when it comes to frontlining like that 4v3 that we just mentioned. We need to make sure that yes, we may be doing a lot of damage just forward or where we're looking, but that especially comes even more prevalent when it comes down to looking at the same thing, because Quark may be looking here and he's shooting at a Genji that's over here, while back here Rez may be thinking, okay, I'm shooting at the Genji, but like JQ's just stepping in front of me, and like, oh well. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but like we want to make sure that we're trying to get the angles and move and maneuver so that we can get that Genji out of the fight, or the Kiriko, whichever is the problem. Making sure that target focus is especially even more prevalent in the frontline fights where it is like that's just we're controlling that neutral space is important as well. Good point win though.
Next flashpoint. Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Like spike. 1 second. Okay, there we go.
Flashpoint unlocked.
Great. I like that we're staying together here.
Vamos escurecer!
such an awkward area. Yeah, it's just delaying ourselves from the fight. It's like our initial positioning is like not great. Like yes, we're positioned together now. Now it comes down to, are we positioned and ready to move on what Quark's planning to do? Like Quark, did you call that you wanted to ult here? Or plan to?
I do not remember. I don't think I did. I remember that I was like calling the Lucio that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that also
But
comes with that ult planning. We want to make sure that we're communicating, okay, I want to use ult here. Even if it's just an I want to use ult here kind of call. Coming from any of you at that point. That allows Quark to plan around that, or even just be ready for it so that your team knows, okay, we're going to do this here. Because in some cases, it's not bad to dry fight, especially if we get outbeat. No, I mean, they beat it because we Ramatra'd, but there's nothing wrong with dry fighting off rip. Just to see how it goes. Then also understanding what is my disengage option, I think, is something that costs us here a little bit. Because, Rez, you kind of just, yes, you were disengaging, but you were backing up through a very open area. Not to say that there were better areas to go, but in here might have been a little safer, because you get these cover points of right here,
Yeah.
these walls.
yeah,
And then you also have this drop down area, which might have seen a little bit of a different situation. And just to kind of thinking about, okay, yes, we're fighting here and we have the chance of winning, but just on some chance that I need to back up. Where do I back up to? Is very important for all of you to be thinking about, no matter what role you are.
Time for the reckoning!
Here's where we probably could have dry fought, you know? If they're gonna hit like 4 of us with JQ's ult, and then they're gonna blade, I think maybe instead of doing R2 ults, we could have just said, okay, let's give dry fight is something Quark could have called, and then we went in a popped ults, and then okay, now they're down 2 ults while we still have 4 online, and they're down 2 really aggressive ults as well, while we still have our 4 ults. And that's a situation where I think we probably could have dry fought here and just gave them point, and then we still have one more fight in the bag. We should at least. Do we touch? Okay. Yeah, we're just very split right now.
I remember
Unbelievably.
that in comms. It was, I think, myself and Mr. Altitude. We wanted to fight on point, but then the others stayed on top.
Yeah, that was just a very split fight from what you guys were at this ending. And again, just stays consistent. At least the best thing is here that I got from this VOD for you guys is that it's a very consistent issue, and that's that you guys need to work on staying together and looking at the same target when you do stay together. And then you guys had the minor notes that I brought up mainly for you, Grizz. Yeah, just those minor things. I think those are the major things that you guys should look to work on going forward with your summer scrims, and then you guys should see some more improvement. Because if you are going to play that brawl, you need to be playing together, and you need to be looking at that same target. And over time, the positioning will come, the ult tracking will come. All of that will fall into place as you guys understand how the comp is supposed to be played. But overall, you guys aren't bad, and you guys aren't even in all that bad of a position going forward, because this is not a hard thing to build on or to improve at, especially if you guys are consistently playing comp together at times, because these are things that you could easily fix in comp as well, and it doesn't need to be inside of a scrim.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do think we need to do more is play comp together.
Yeah, and that helps. I know Quark pings it every day because I only have your server. I don't have your server muted, or almost every day at least. So you guys always have the opportunity. So any questions?
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.